let me get your attention right now. This is not by accident, not by chance. If you're hearing this, you've been called, not by me, not by some algorithm, but by a higher authority, a divine order. And there's a reason you're here before July 25th, 2025. Because time, chosen one, is not waiting. And neither is purpose. You see, too many people are sleepwalking through their calling. Talented, but distracted. Gifted, but inconsistent. Anointed, but afraid. And yet, here you are, being summoned. Before that date comes, something's going to shift. Spiritually, emotionally, physically. And you need to be ready. Prepared, not panicked. Aligned, not anxious. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. But standing out requires discipline, obedience, and a willingness to walk alone. Because hear me, when you're chosen, your journey will be different. Your battles will be harder. Your path, lonelier. But your reward, oh, it's divine. That date, July 25th, is not about superstition. It's about preparation. It's a marker in time, a checkpoint. What you do before it, how you pray, how you move, how you align, will determine what happens after it. You've been called, not by chance, but by divine order. And that's something you need to feel in your spirit, not just hear with your ears. Because if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. This moment, right now, this breath you're taking, this pull you feel in your chest, it's not random. It's not ordinary. And it's definitely not something to ignore. There's something on your life that's not on everybody's life. There's a purpose, a weight, a fire that's been assigned to you, and you've known it for a long time, haven't you? Deep down, you've always felt different, not better, not above, but different. You've walked into rooms and felt like you didn't belong, but still, you stayed. You sat at tables where your spirit was restless, and still, you smiled. You tried to fit into places you were never meant to settle. And now, you're tired. Not because you're weak, but because you're resisting the call. See, when the hand of God is on your life, comfort disappears. The things that used to satisfy you, they don't anymore. The places you used to run to for escape, they're closed now. The people who used to understand you, can't seem to hear your heart anymore. And that's not punishment. That's positioning. That's heaven's way of saying, it's time. Time to stop running. Time to stop doubting. Time to stop playing small when the mantle on your life is massive. Chosen ones don't get to live casually. You don't get the luxury of being careless, because your life isn't just about you. What's been placed inside of you? That gift, that wisdom, that sensitivity. What vision? It's generational. It's sacred. It's divine. And you've been called, not by chance, but by design. The Creator didn't spin the universe hoping you'd show up. He crafted you with precision. Every setback, every heartbreak, every delay, every detour, it was building you, refining you, molding you into who you needed to become. And maybe that's why you've been misunderstood your whole life. Maybe that's why the battles hit you harder. Maybe that's why you can't stay around certain people anymore, because your calling is loud. And even when you try to silence it, it speaks through your actions. It shows in your spirit. You can't fake normal, because chosen doesn't come with a mask. It comes with weight. And that weight is not meant to crush you. It's meant to shape you. There's something inside of you that refuses to settle. You've tried. You've told yourself to just be like everybody else. You've prayed for peace in places that were meant to break you. You've convinced yourself that maybe you heard wrong. Maybe you're not who you think you are. But deep down, you know the truth. You know you've been called to more. You feel it when you wake up. You hear it when it's quiet. You see it in your dreams. And no matter how far you run, that call follows you. Because when heaven speaks over your life, no man can revoke it. Not your past, not your failures, not your fears. You could have made 1,000 mistakes, and the call still stands. You could have turned away 100 times, and grace still waits. You could have been overlooked, forgotten, rejected, and still the anointing remains. That's what being chosen looks like. Not perfect, but positioned. Not flawless, but favored. And don't you dare compare your journey to anyone else's. Don't look at someone else's lane and question your own. What God put in you is unique. Your timing, your path, your process, it's yours. Custom built. Crafted by divine hands that don't make mistakes. Some people were called for comfort, but you were called for the fire. Because the fire reveals the chosen. The fire burns away the fear, the pride, the ego, the doubt. It strips you down so only the truth remains. And when that truth rises, nothing can stop it. That's why you've been feeling the pressure. That's why the attacks have been so specific. That's why the warfare increased. When you started waking up to who you are. Because the enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. The opposition you're facing is confirmation of your identity. You're not crazy. You're not imagining things. You're not being too deep. You're just finally becoming who you were always meant to be. And yes, the cost is high. Yes, the road is lonely. Yes, the weight gets heavy. But chosen comes with covenant. Chosen comes with protection. Chosen comes with provision. When you walk in purpose, doors open that no man can shut. People show up who were sent, not just present. Opportunities align because of your name, but because of the M name you carry. You've been chosen to rise a better, not because you're better, but because you've been built, dealt different. Your tears are different. Your prayers are different. Your silence, even that is powerful. When you speak, atmospheres shift. When you move, chains break. When you walk in rooms, things change. And you've been questioning why it feels so heavy. It feels heavy because glory has weight. Purpose has pressure. And calling carries a cost. But make no mistake, none of this is random. You're not here because of coincidence. You're not watching, listening, feeling this because of chance. You've been summoned. There's a reason you survived what others couldn't. There's a reason you're still standing. There's a reason the fire didn't burn you. The flood didn't drown you. The flood didn't drown you. And the silence didn't kill you. You were kept for this. Preserved. Protected. Prepared. And now, the heavens are waiting. Watching. Whispering. It's time. Not to be perfect, but to be present. To stop hiding. To stop doubting. To stop shrinking into places that cannot hold the fullness of your gift. To stop asking for permission to be who you already are. The world is starving for authenticity, for truth, for light, and you, chosen one, you carry all three. You don't have to force it. You are it. You don't need to beg for affirmation. You were affirmed the moment you were created. You don't need to chase platforms. You are the message. Your story, your scars, your voice, they're instruments in the hands of the one who called you. So don't look around, waiting for someone else to step up. Don't wait for someone else to validate your vision. Don't keep dimming your light. Don't keep dimming your light because others are afraid of what it exposes. You've been called, set apart, handpicked, and the weight of that truth should humble you, not haunt you. You don't have time to waste. Not now. Not when the call is this loud. Not when the world is crying out for something real. Not when you've been given keys that unlock healing, hope, and restoration for others. Every delay, every detour, every dark night, it's all been leading here. To this moment, to this awareness, to this awakening. July 25th is a spiritual checkpoint, not a coincidence. And if that doesn't stir something inside you, you're not listening with your spirit. You're only hearing with your ears. This isn't about superstition. It's not about fear. And it's definitely not about chasing dates like they hold the power. The power has already been spoken over your life. But this moment, this season, this divine window, it matters. Because God operates in timing, not just time. He doesn't rush. He doesn't delay. He moves with purpose. And when a spiritual marker appears, it's not random. It's a signal, a warning, a reminder, a checkpoint on your journey that says, stop, look around, realign. You see, when you're chosen, you don't live like everyone else. You don't walk by the clock alone. You walk by revelation. And when heaven sets a moment apart, when heaven draws a line in the sand and says, by this time, be ready. You don't take that lightly. You don't scroll past it. You don't sleep on it. You don't put it off. You tune in. You pause. You get quiet. Because that date isn't about the calendar. It's about you. Your development. Your readiness. Your alignment with what's coming next. Too many people miss divine doors because they're too distracted. They're looking for signs in the sky when the signs are showing up in their spirit. They want fireworks, but God moves in stillness. He speaks through conviction, through burden, through repeated whispers in the dark hours of the night when your soul knows something is coming, but you don't have the words for it. That's what this is. A divine checkpoint, a holy pause before a major move. And if you ignore it, if you dismiss it as just another day, you risk walking into a season you weren't prepared for. Preparation doesn't start when the door opens. It starts before. The oil doesn't fall when you arrive. It falls when you obey. And there's a difference. Some people want the blessings of destiny, but they don't want the discipline of obedience. They want the crown, but they don't want the cross. But chosen ones know. Elevation without preparation is dangerous. Promotion without pruning is deadly. You can't carry the next season in the same mindset you had in the last one. That's why this checkpoint matters. Because between now and then, things are shifting in the unseen, in the spiritual, in the realm you can't see, but your spirit can feel. There's a countdown happening, not in fear, but in faith. Not because the world is ending, but because something in you is about to begin. A chapter, a calling, a new level of authority, responsibility, visibility. And if you walk into that with your hands full of the past, with your heart full of compromise, with your mind full of confusion, you'll miss the move. That's why you're feeling the tension. That's why certain relationships are being strained. That's why the familiar is starting to feel uncomfortable. That's why your old habits don't satisfy anymore. Because the checkpoint is near and heaven is clearing space. Heaven is cleaning house. Heaven is calling you to let go so you can then go. You can't carry the weight of destiny with the baggage of disobedience. You can't run with chains around your ankles. And you can't answer the call if your ears are tuned to the noise. So this is the moment to pause, to reflect, to get real with yourself, to ask, what have I been carrying that I need to release? Not next month, not when it's convenient, and now. Because July 25th isn't about what's going to happen outside of you. It's about what's being required inside of you. When God sets a date, He's not working on His schedule. He's working on yours. He's saying, by this time, I expect growth. I expect obedience. I expect surrender. Because He knows what's coming. Even if you don't. He knows the battles ahead, the blessings on the horizon, the doors that will open, the people that will need you. And He's trying to make sure you're air ready, not busy, not noisy, not distracted, ready. Some people won't make it past this checkpoint. Not because they weren't called, but because they weren't willing. Willing to release what they've outgrown. Willing to obey without full understanding. Willing to trust when nothing makes sense. Willing to prepare like something is coming, even when nothing looks like it's changing. That's what faith looks like. Not waiting for signs, but moving in alignment. Getting up early. Praying when no one is watching. Shutting down the noise. Walking away from what you know is not for you. Saying no to good, so you can say yes to God. That's what July 25th is about. A holy checkpoint where heaven is asking, have you matured? Have you positioned yourself? Are you moving like someone who's been chosen? Or like someone who's still doubting their identity? And don't get it twisted. This isn't about performance. It's about posture. It's about the state of your heart. Are you teachable? Are you open? Are you surrendered? Or are you still trying to control outcomes with flesh when this next move requires faith? Are you still doing it your way? Or are you finally ready to let God be God? This moment, this checkpoint, it's personal. It's not about a crowd. It's not about who sees you preparing. It's about who you become in the secret place. The place where nobody claps. The place where nobody validates. The place where it's just you and God. And He's whispering things into your spirit that don't make sense. That don't make sense. But you write them down anyway because they know they're real. And the truth is, you already know this date matters. You've felt it. You've seen signs. You've had confirmations. And yet, the enemy has been working overtime to distract you, to discourage you, to delay your obedience, because he knows If you walk through this checkpoint prepared, aligned, and filled with the Spirit, there's nothing He can do to stop you. That's why the warfare increased. That's why your emotions have been swinging. That's why you've been feeling off balance. Because the closer you get to divine alignment, the more the enemy tries to confuse your vision. But confusion is not your portion. Delay is not your story. Doubt is not your identity. You are chosen. You are marked. And this moment has been set apart for you to see clearly, to hear clearly, to move clearly. But it's going to take focus. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take shutting down everything that doesn't feed your spirit. You can't keep feeding your distractions and expect your purpose to grow. You can't keep playing with things that were meant to be buried. You can't keep circling the same mountain and call it a journey. This checkpoint demands change. It demands elevation. It demands transformation. Because what's coming after this? It's not light. It's not surface level. It's weighty. It's sacred. It's bigger than you. And if you step into it unprepared, you have nothing. You'll fumble what you were born to carry. And if you sleep through this moment, you'll wake up too late. So pay attention. Listen closely. The Spirit is speaking, not in panic, but in urgency. Not in fear, but in purpose. Preparation over procrastination. That's the principle. That's the mindset. That's the posture the chosen ones must take now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when you feel ready, but now. Because delay is dangerous, and procrastination is not just laziness, it's disobedience in disguise. Too many people are praying for opportunities they're not prepared for, waiting for doors to open, while their hands are still full of excuses, asking God to move, while they sit still, passive, hoping that purpose will come find them. When purpose requires pursuit, effort, intention, discipline, chosen ones don't get to waste time, because time is not neutral. It's either working for you or against you. And every moment you waste in delay is a moment stolen from your destiny. You can't play around with your calling like it's optional, like it's a backup plan, like it can be paused, postponed, rescheduled. Purpose doesn't work like that. Calling doesn't bend to convenience. And destiny does not wait for comfort. The reason it feels heavy is because it's real. The reason you feel the urgency is because the window is narrowing. And while others can afford to play games with their potential, you can't, because what's inside of you is rare, and what's inside of you is needed. And the truth is, you have nothing. You already know what you've been putting off. You already know what God's been whispering to you in the quiet hours, nudging you, convicting you, reminding you to begin to build, to let go, to step forward. But you keep waiting for everything to be perfect. You keep waiting for all the fear to disappear. You keep waiting for someone to push you, to validate you, to give you permission, and all the while, time is moving, the world is turning, and the assignment on your life is still unfinished. And the dangerous thing about procrastination is it tricks you into thinking you have more time. It seduces you with false comfort. It lulls you into spiritual sleep while opportunities expire, while doors close, while moments pass. See, preparation is not glamorous. It's not always visible. It doesn't come with applause. It comes with discipline in the dark, effort without recognition, sacrifice without a crowd. It looks like late nights, early mornings, silent tears, unanswered questions. It's the work behind the scenes that nobody claps for. It's the obedience when nobody's watching. It's showing up to the secret place when the flesh wants to stay in bed. It's fasting when you'd rather feast. It's praying when you'd rather scroll. It's doing the hard thing, the inconvenient thing, the uncomfortable thing, again and again, because you know that what's coming requires more than what you currently carry. Procrastination, though, it's seductive. It tells you there's always tomorrow. It whispers, you can rest a little longer when you haven't even started. It says, you're not ready when really you're just scared. It hides behind distractions. It dresses up as business. It wears the mask of waiting on God, when in truth, God's been waiting on you. And let's be real. How many times have you said, I'll start Monday? How many divine ideas have died in your notebook? How many visions have you buried under doubt, under delay, under the lie that it's not the right time. Chosen ones, you cannot afford to let procrastination become your routine. You cannot keep waking up in cycles of intention without execution. You cannot keep calling it patience when it's really passivity. Faith without works is dead, and that means preparation is proof of belief. If you believe the promise, you prepare. If you believe the calling, you act. If you believe the timing is divine, then you move like it. You study. You pray. You clean house. You shut down distractions. You align every part of your life with where you say you're going. Preparation is uncomfortable. Yes. But it builds your character. It shapes your stamina. It teaches you discipline. It's not just about being ready for the opportunity. It's about being worthy of it. Because God will never give you something that you are unwilling to steward. He won't bless laziness. He won't elevate dysfunction. He won't accelerate what you're too scared to manage. And if you're not preparing, you're not expecting. If you're not preparing, you're not respecting the magnitude of what you've been called to carry. So this is the time to take inventory, to ask, what has God told me to do that I still haven't done? What habits am I entertaining that are slowing me down? What distractions have I given too much access to? Because preparation isn't just about what you owe. That. It's also about what you remove. You can't build if you're constantly battling clutter, confusion, compromise. You can't prepare while keeping company with what God told you to leave. You can't carry vision while holding hands with comfort. It's going to take more focus, more time in the Word, more discipline in your body, more silence in your spirit, more boldness in your action. The preparation required for where God is taking you, it won't come cheap. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to miss some things. But you're going to have to be misunderstood. You're going to have to walk away from the easy road and choose the narrow path again and again. But every act of obedience, every moment of preparation, every time you choose purpose over procrastination, it's building something eternal. It's preparing you for the weight of the next season. You have nothing It's proving that you can handle the pressure of promotion. And understand this. God honors preparation. When He sees you making room, He fills it. When He sees you taking steps, He aligns resources. When He sees you taking it seriously, He breathes on your efforts. He responds to faith in motion. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing. You just have to be very present. You just have to be available. Procrastination makes you unavailable for divine appointments. But preparation keeps your lamp full. Preparation keeps your spirit sharp. Preparation ensures you don't miss your moment when the trumpet sounds. And yes, it's tiring. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, you'll question if it's even worth it. But purpose is always worth it. Calling is always worth it. Destiny is always worth it. And if you keep preparing, if you keep showing up, if you keep saying yes, when it's hard, when it's quiet, when it's thankless, the time will come when the curtain lifts and what was hidden will be revealed. What was delayed will be delivered. What was promised will manifest. But only if you don't quit. Only if you prepare and keep preparing. Even when the world tells you to wait. Even when your mind tells you it's too late. Even when your emotions tell you it's too hard. You move forward anyway. You trust anyway. You build anyway. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. And you've got to understand that deep down in your spirit. Because if you misread the season you're in, you'll start cursing the very thing God is using to elevate you, to shape you, to refine you, not to break you, but to build you. The pressure you're feeling right now, the weight on your shoulders, the fire in your life, it's not random. It's not cruel. It's not evidence that God has forgotten you. It's proof that He's forming you, preparing you, strengthening you for something greater than you've ever carried before. See, we always want the promise, but we don't always want the process. We pray for the platform, but we resist the pressure. We say we're ready, but we don't like the heat that comes with preparation. And that's where most people fold, not because they're not called, not because they're not gifted, but because they don't understand that pressure. That pressure is part of the journey. You have nothing. You don't get the crown without the crushing You don't get the oil without the pressing. You don't walk in power unless you've been processed in private. And that process is uncomfortable. It's stretching. It's quiet. It's lonely. It's misunderstood. But it's necessary. God doesn't build champions in comfort. He builds them in the wilderness. He builds them in the fire. He builds them through delay, through rejection, through disappointment, through trials that don't make sense, through seasons where it feels like everything is falling apart, but in truth, everything is falling into place. And the pressure you feel is a sign. It's a marker. It's heaven's way of saying, I'm doing something deeper. I'm doing something heavier. I'm making you ready for something you can't yet comprehend. Pressure reveals what's really inside you. It exposes weakness. It pushes out impurity. It shows you what's been buried under the surface. Not to shame you, but to heal you, to grow you, to mold you into a vessel that can carry glory without cracking. What do you have that can handle the weight of favor without falling apart? You see, many people want the spotlight, but the spotlight is dangerous if you haven't been prepared in the shadows. Many people want influence. But influence without integrity will destroy you. Many people want the door to open. But if you step through that door unprepared, it won't be a blessing. It'll be a burden. So God applies pressure, not to crush you, but to qualify you. He's watching how you respond when things don't go your way. He's watching how you respond when prayers aren't answered on your timeline. He's watching how you respond when the people you trusted walk away. When the path is unclear, or have nothing, when the vision doesn't match your current reality. Because pressure purifies your motives. Pressure kills pride. Pressure removes false dependencies. Pressure forces you to press into God in ways you never had to before. And let me tell you, the enemy knows the power of pressure too. That's why he turns it up. That's why the attacks increase the closer you get to breakthrough. That's why things feel heavier right before the shift. Because the enemy wants you to believe the lie that pressure means failure. Pressure means rejection. Pressure means abandonment. But that's a lie. Because in the kingdom, pressure is often the signal that promotion is near, that breakthrough is in motion, you have nothing, that you're in the final stages of development, you in heaven is about to release what has been held back, not because you weren't loved, but because you weren't ready. But the pressure is making you ready. Pressure forces you to choose. Will you collapse or will you rise? Will you complain or will you commit? Will you run away or will you press in? Because pressure doesn't give you comfort. It gives you clarity. You start to see what really matters. Who really stands with you. What you truly believe. Pressure strips away the fluff, the performance, the pretending, and it reveals your core, your convictions, your capacity. You don't even know what's in you until the pressure comes. You don't know how strong your faith is until it's tested. You don't know how deep your roots are until the storm hits. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it's stretching you. Yes, you cry in private. Yes, you wonder if you're crazy for staying the course. Yes, you want to quit sometimes. But that's exactly why the pressure is working. It's showing you that you're not relying on yourself anymore. That you're walking by faith, not by sight. That your strength comes from something eternal, something divine, something immovable. Even when everything else feels unstable. The pressure is not your enemy. It's your training ground. It's preparing you for rooms you haven't entered yet. For people you haven't met yet. For opportunities you can't even imagine yet. The pressure is making you more disciplined, more discerning, more obedient, more prayerful, more resilient. The pressure is teaching you how to trust God at a level that isn't shallow, that isn't conditional, that isn't based on feelings or outcomes, but is rooted in who He is, faithful, sovereign, intentional, wise. So many people give up right before the release, right before the door opens, right before the breakthrough, because they can't take the pressure. But chosen ones, you're built different. You're graced to endure. You're anointed for endurance. You've been called to carry weight that others can't. You've been assigned a mantle that requires maturity. You've been trusted with a calling that demands crushing. And you can't skip the process just because it's hard. You can't fast forward through the furnace. You can't pray away the pressure if the pressure is the very thing that's producing the version of you that the promise requires. This season isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to develop you. God is trying to stretch your faith, expand your capacity, increase your authority. And you'll look back on this pressure and realize it was grace. You'll see that the pain had purpose. You'll see that the weight trained your shoulders for greater. You'll see that the fire didn't burn you. It purified you. You'll see that the storm didn't stop you. It built you. You'll see that the trial wasn't punishment. It was preparation. But right now, in the middle of it, don't run. Don't retreat. Don't numb yourself to what God is doing. Don't distract yourself with the temporary. Don't compare your pressure to someone else's progress. Stay planted. Stay focused. Stay obedient. Keep pressing. Keep believing. Keep surrendering. Because the pressure is not in vain. The pressure is doing something in you that comfort never could. The pressure is unlocking strength you didn't know you had. The pressure is qualifying you for a glory that can't be earned, only entrusted. And the fact that you feel it, it means you're close. The fact that you're in it means God is working. The fact that it hurts means it's real. Timing is everything. And divine timing is not on your clock. It's not on your calendar. It's not subject to your schedule or your understanding. Because God moves in seasons, not seconds. And when you're chosen, you must learn to trust His timing, not just His promise, not just His power, but His timing. Because what good is a blessing if you receive it in the wrong season? What good is a door if you walk through it before you're prepared? What good is the dream if you enter it immature, fragile, still attached to things that can't come with you? See, we're conditioned to want everything now. Quick, instant, fast. Fast food, fast answers, fast results. But the kingdom doesn't operate in a rush. God doesn't microwave purpose. He marinates it. He develops it. He seasons it through time, through trial, through delay. And chosen ones, you've got to stop mistaking delay for denial. Because when it's not happening on your time, that doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means God is aligning it for the right time, not the most convenient time. Sometimes God will withhold things you think you're ready for because He sees the trap you don't. He sees the weight behind the opportunity. He sees the temptation tied to that relationship. He sees what your emotions can't discern. And because He loves you, He'll say, not yet. And that, not yet, will feel like a closed door. It'll feel like rejection. It'll feel like punishment. But in truth, it's protection. It's preparation. It's mercy disguised as delay. Chosen ones are tested by time. You're refined in waiting because the wait reveals the weight of your faith. The weight exposes your patience, your trust, your discipline, your motives, and how you respond when the timing doesn't match your expectation reveals who you really believe is in control. Do you trust your timeline more than His? Do you worship the calendar or the Creator? Do you serve the plan or the one who authors it? You've got to stop comparing your timing to someone else's. Stop looking at how fast they're moving, how high they're climbing, how early their doors opened. Because their pace is not your pace, and their lane is not your lane. And if you try to force a promise outside of your ordained time, you won't just delay the blessing. You'll damage it, because a seed planted in the wrong season doesn't bear fruit. It dies in the soil. God's timing teaches humility. It teaches surrender. It teaches you to walk by faith, not by sight. Because when it feels like nothing's moving, God is still moving. When you can't see progress, He's still aligning pieces. He's working in the invisible, the unseen, behind the curtain of your life, aligning hearts, redirecting paths, opening doors you didn't even knock on yet, and preparing people to receive what you carry. When the time is right, you can't manipulate divine timing. You can't fast track maturity. You can't microwave growth. You have to walk it out. Live it out. You pray through it. Grow through it. And in the process, you'll realize what you thought was a setback was a setup. What you thought was a delay was development. What you thought was silence was strategy. God was working on you, not just on the promise, because sometimes the answer isn't No. It's just not now. And here's the thing. You're not being punished. You have nothing. You're being positioned. You're being trained. You're being molded. Because when the time comes, you won't have time to get ready. You'll have to be ready. And God knows what's coming. He knows the weight of the influence, the pressure of the spotlight. What do you have? The attacks that come with elevation, the warfare that follows promotion. And if you're not prepared in private, you won't survive in public. That's why it feels slow. That's why it feels quiet. That's why the door hasn't opened yet. Because there's still some things God is building in you. Some things He's breaking off you. Some habits He's trying to remove. Some roots He's trying to deepen. Because elevation without foundation will collapse. Favor without character will corrupt. And gifting without timing will destroy what God designed to bless. So, don't despise the timing. Don't curse the waiting room. Don't rush the process. Because what's for you is for you. And it won't miss you. It won't bypass you. It won't forget you. But it will arrive on time. And when it comes, it'll make sense. The wait will make sense. The tears will make sense. The silence will make sense. And you'll realize that God wasn't just preparing the blessing for you. He was preparing you for the blessing. Trust that delay doesn't mean denial. Silence doesn't mean absence. And slowness doesn't mean stillness. God is never late. He's never off schedule. He's never surprised by what you're going through. And He's not intimidated by time. He owns it. He governs it. He uses it to shape you, to guard you, to ready you. And you have to believe that when the time comes, nothing will be able to stop what God has ordained. You don't have to force it. You don't have to manipulate it. You don't have to network your way into it. When it's your time, it'll come looking for you. It'll recognize you. It'll fit you. You won't have to pretend. You won't have to compete. You won't have to compromise. Because real doors open by divine appointment, not human striving, not fleshly hustle, not anxious ambition, but surrendered obedience. And in the meantime, while you wait, prepare. While you wait, pray. While you wait, grow. Because preparation is the proof of expectation. Faith isn't just believing the promise. It's preparing like it's already on the way. It's getting your house in order, your mind in order, your heart in order. So when the time comes, you don't miss it. You don't mishandle it. You don't sabotage it. Because you'll be ready. Not just waiting chosen ones. This is where many fall off. They faint in the wait. They grow bitter in the delay. They question their worth. Question the calling. Question God Himself. But your strength is built in the waiting. Your maturity is forged in the delay. Your anointing is sharpened in the silence. Because divine timing is more than just waiting for something to happen. It's becoming who you need to be so you can steward what's coming. When it finally does, there's a version of you that can't show up yet. Because you're still becoming, still shedding, still learning, still healing, still walking by faith and not by comfort. And that's okay. It's okay to still be becoming. Because when you trust divine timing, you trust that God knows what He's doing. And you trust that He hasn't forgotten you. Not for a second. Not for a moment. Because He's too faithful to leave you where you are and too wise to rush what He's building in you for where going. The calling on your life is bigger than your comfort, bigger than your plans, bigger than your feelings. And when you're chosen, but you don't get to live like everyone else. You don't get to move like everyone else. Because your life has a weight on it, an assignment tied to it, a purpose that demands more from you than it does from others. And with that calling comes responsibility. Comes pressure, comes warfare, comes moments where you feel isolated, misunderstood, stretched beyond your limits. And it's not because you're weak, it's because you're called. The calling requires separation. It requires surrender. It requires obedience when it doesn't make sense. And that's hard. That's heavy. That's lonely. Because sometimes the people around you won't understand it. They'll see the external, but not the internal. They'll see the elevation, but not the price. They'll celebrate the fruit, but never witness the crushing that produced it. And you've got to be okay with not being understood with walking alone sometimes, with being hidden for a season, because God hides what He's preparing when you're called. You go through things others don't, not because you're cursed, but because you're being carved. You're being shaped. You're being stretched. Because where you're going, comfort won't sustain you. Convenience won't carry you. Your feelings won't be enough. It takes discipline. It takes trust. It takes a level of obedience that doesn't make sense to the natural mind. It takes choosing purpose over popularity, mission over mood, assignment over applause. You're going to have to give up some things, some places, some habits, some people. Not because they're bad, but because they don't fit the next version of you. You have nothing. The version that's required to carry out what you've been called to do. And that's not punishment. That's refinement. Because anything God removes, He's making room for something greater. But you won't see it until you let go of what's familiar. Until you release what's no longer aligned. Chosen ones carry weight. Spiritual weight. What do you have? You have emotional weight, invisible weight. And that's why the enemy comes so hard against you. Why the warfare is intense. Why the resistance feels relentless. Because he knows what's in you. He knows the damage you'll do to darkness. If you ever step fully into your calling, if you ever rise up and walk in your authority, if you ever realize who you are in the Spirit, if you ever stop shrinking to make others comfortable, and make no mistake, the calling costs something. It'll cost you comfort. It'll cost you convenience. It'll cost you approval. It'll cost you the right to be average, to blend in, to settle. Because chosen ones were never meant to blend in. They were set apart, not for popularity, but for purpose, not for comfort, but for calling, not for applause, but for assignment. And sometimes the weight of the calling will break your pride forward. Builds your platform. God is not looking for perfection. He's looking for obedience. And sometimes your yes will cost you everything. Your old life, your plans, your timeline. But that yes, that surrender, that willingness to trust when nothing makes sense, to move when it's uncomfortable, to stay when you feel forgotten. That's the kind of faith that activates miracles. That's the kind of obedience that breaks generational curses, that opens doors no man can shut, that causes heaven to move on your behalf. Your calling is not about you. It's about who you've been assigned to reach. It's about the people on the other side of your obedience. It's about the lives tied to your surrender. The generations connected to your sacrifice. And if you only focus on how the calling affects you, you'll miss the glory of how it's meant to impact others. Because your life is a seed, and sometimes God will plant you in dark, unfamiliar places so that when you grow, others can find shelter in what you've become. Don't confuse obscurity with insignificance. Don't confuse silence with absence. Don't confuse stillness with stagnation. Because the calling will take you through seasons of isolation, of being overlooked, misunderstood, hidden. Not because God has forgotten you, but because He's protecting you. Because visibility without maturity is dangerous. Because being seen too soon can destroy what God is still developing. And that's why the process is so important. Why the pruning hurts. Why the pressure builds. Because it's all part of the preparation. It's all part of the molding. It's all part of the breaking that must happen before the building. And you can't pray away the process. You can't shortcut the shaping. You can't run from the refining fire. Because that's where the depth comes from. That's where the character forms. That's where the anointing increases. You've been trusted with trials, with battles, with delays, with tests that would have broken others. But you're still here, still standing, still pressing, not because of your strength, but because God's grace is on your life, because His hand is holding you, guiding you, stretching you into someone who can carry the calling without compromising, someone who can stand in the storm and still speak peace, someone who can be trusted with influence and still walk in humility. And don't get distracted by the noise. Don't get discouraged by the delay. Don't get disoriented by the wilderness. Because when you're called, the journey won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because every tear you cried, every night you questioned, every battle you fought in secret, it all matters. It all counts. It's all building something eternal. something holy, something powerful inside of you that will outlast seasons, outlast opposition, outlast every lie the enemy tried to convince you of. The calling demands that you rise, even when you're tired, that you believe, even when you can't see, that you show up, even when it hurts, because your consistency in the valley qualifies you for the mountaintop. Your faithfulness in obscurity sets you up for favor in visibility. And every time you choose obedience over comfort, heaven takes notice. Every time you choose the narrow road over the easy path, the Spirit strengthens you. This calling on your life is going to require you to walk through doors others are afraid of, to speak when silence would be easier, to love when it's uncomfortable, to lead when you'd rather hide, to sacrifice when it feels like you've got nothing left. And you may not always feel strong. You may not always feel ready. But God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And if He called you, He'll equip you. He'll sustain you. He'll carry you through what you cannot carry alone. So don't shrink. Don't settle. Don't sabotage what God is trying to do in your life just because it's uncomfortable. Just because it's unfamiliar. Just because it's hard. Because chosen ones are built different. They're refined in fire, forged in silence, shaped in surrender, and anointed through obedience. And though the road may be narrow, though the nights may be long, though the cost may be high, you've been set apart for something holy, something eternal, something weighty. And when God places a calling on your life, no man, no system, no opposition, no delay can take it away. You've heard the call. You've felt the weight. You've walked through fire that tried to consume you. Storms that tried to drown you. Valleys that tried to bury you. But somehow, some way, you're still here, still breathing, still believing, still holding on to a promise that sometimes feels distant, still pressing towards something your eyes can't always see, but your spirit refuses to forget. And that alone is evidence. That alone is proof that what's on your life is not ordinary, not common, not light, but sacred, set apart, anointed, because the chosen don't survive by accident. They survive by grace. You've battled through thoughts that told you to quit, voices that tried to silence your faith, moments when it felt like the weight was too much, when the calling felt more like a curse than a blessing, but somehow you found strength. You didn't know you had peace that didn't come from circumstance, hope that wasn't tied to the outcome. And that's not because of your ability, but because of your assignment, because God has placed something in you that hell couldn't destroy, people couldn't block, and time couldn't erase. This journey isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing. It's not about being ready. It's about being available. And the truth is, your yes has carried more power than you realize. Your surrender has shifted more in the spirit than you can see. And the weight you've been carrying is not a burden. It's a mantle, a responsibility, a covering that marks you as someone God trusts, someone God is molding for greater, someone God is preparing, not for comfort, but for calling, not for ease, but for impact. And now, standing here, listening with open ears and a ready heart, you have to decide not just how you feel, but what you believe. Do you believe that the silence meant abandonment? Or do you believe it meant strategy? Do you believe the waiting was punishment? Or do you believe it was preparation? Because how you interpret the process will determine how you walk into the promise. And you can't carry the spirit of a victim into the season of your victory. You have nothing. You can't bring the mindset of the wilderness into the land of promise, because old wineskins can't carry new wine. This is the moment where you shift. This is the moment where you choose to see through eyes of faith, to believe that God hasn't brought you this far to leave you, to believe that the warfare wasn't random, that the pressure wasn't pointless, that the pain had a purpose. Because everything that has tried to break you was actually sent to build you. And what looked like loss was divine alignment. Alignment. What looked like rejection was redirection. What looked like isolation was protection. And all of it was part of the process that's producing who you're becoming. You didn't survive just to survive. You didn't endure just to exist. You were preserved because you're called. You were kept because you're chosen. You were held together when everything around you fell apart. Because your life is evidence. Your journey is testimony. Your scars are proof that grace is real, that mercy is active, that God's hand is still on you, even when it's quiet, even when it's delayed, even when it's hard. And from this point forward, it's not about waiting to feel ready. It's about walking in what's already been spoken over you. It's about trusting that if God gave you the vision, He'll give you the provision. If He called you, He'll qualify you. If He anointed you, He'll appoint you. And you don't need the approval of people when you have the assignment of heaven. You don't need applause to walk in authority. You don't need confirmation to move in faith. Because the same God who spoke to you in the quiet will show up for you in the open. The battles you faced are not wasted. The nights you cried are not forgotten. The prayers you prayed when no one was watching are still ringing in heaven. You have nothing. And while others may have seen the outward struggle, they didn't see the inward growth. They didn't see the spiritual strength being built behind the scenes. They didn't see the character being forged in the fire, the faith being purified in the pressure, the oil being crushed out of your pain. God has been writing your story the whole time. Not skipping chapters, not erasing the hard parts, but using every page, every delay, every disappointment, every detour to bring you into alignment with something greater, something eternal, something far beyond your imagination. And even when you couldn't trace His hand, He was still holding your heart, guiding your steps, ordering your path, and working all things together for your good. You were never forgotten, never overlooked, never abandoned. And even when life tried to convince you that God was distant, the truth is He was closer than ever, whispering strength into your soul, breathing courage into your lungs, placing fire in your bones. And now it's time to rise. Now it's time to believe again. Now it's time to stop shrinking. Stop doubting. Stop hesitating. And walk boldly into what you were born to carry. This is your moment of release, of clarity, of alignment, to let go of what no longer serves you, to surrender the fear that's kept you bound, to silence the voice of shame that's tried to haunt you, and declare with boldness, with confidence, with unshakable faith, that you were born for this, built for this, chosen for this, and nothing, no delay, no attack, no mistake can cancel what God has placed on your life. Chosen ones don't chase. They align. They don't beg. They believe. They don't shrink. They shine. And even if the path looks uncertain, even if the road is narrow, they walk it anyway. Not because they see the whole picture, but because they trust the one who does. And you, yes, you have been set apart for such a time as this, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender, not because of your perfection, but because of your purpose. And from this day forward, may you walk with the awareness that heaven is backing you, that your yes still matters, that your obedience still counts, that your pain is producing something priceless, and that your life is not random, not wasted, not meaningless, but called, chosen, anointed, and appointed to do great and mighty things, not someday, but now. Not when it's easy, but when it's time. And this, right here, right now, is the time. So rise, chosen one. Rise with fire in your spirit. Rise with faith in your steps. Rise with your eyes fixed on purpose and your heart anchored in truth. Rise with the knowledge that what God started in you, He will finish, that no weapon formed against you will prosper, that the calling on your life will not be silenced, and that your obedience will shake foundations, shift atmospheres, and leave a legacy that echoes through generations. You were made for more. You were prepared for this. You were called for impact, for influence, for breakthrough, for light, for truth. And as you step forward, remember this. God is not looking for the most talented, the most connected, or the most qualified. He's looking for the vev willing, the faithful, the available, the surrendered. And if that's you, then this is your moment. This is your release. This is your divine confirmation that the time is a now. Now go, chosen one. Go with boldness. Go with purpose. Go with your head held high and your faith held higher. Go, knowing that every step is ordered. Every season is intentional. Every delay is strategic. And every yes matters. Because the kingdom is waiting. The world is watching. And heaven is backing you. Now go and walk in the fullness of all you were born to become. So let me ask you, are you still holding on to things God told you to release? Are you still doubting yourself when heaven has already confirmed you? Are you still waiting for permission when you've already been anointed? This is the moment to rise up. Not next month, not next year. Now. You don't need the crowd. You need the calling. You don't need applause. You need alignment. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need to understand who sent you. Chosen one. This is urgent. Time is tightening. The world is shifting. The pressure is rising. Not to crush you, but to reveal what's inside of you. So before that date hits your calendar, take a moment. Look in the mirror. Look in your soul. And decide, am I going to shrink back or am I going to step in? Because there's a fire that's been placed in you, a vision, a responsibility. Don't dim it. Don't delay it. And don't deny it. The world needs what you carry. But you need to believe it first. So rise, chosen one, before July 25th. Because heaven is watching, and so is the world.